How's it going, YouTube? We've got FourthStarTCG here, and today we're going to cover a topic that's on a lot of people's minds given the current Pokemon market. It's investing in Pokemon. We're just going to get it out there, talk about it, get it over with. So people have made whole channels about this topic, and I'm here today to tell you respectfully why most of them are completely wrong. So I'm going to cut through all the smoke and mirrors, and I'm going to give it to you straight about investing in Pokemon, and likely why anyone who tries to invest will not be successful, and why the people who have made the most money in Pokemon, they never had investment as their actual goal. So before we get into the investment discussions proper, I'd like to go over what I consider to be a common misconception in the hobby. So a lot of people will use words like investment to describe what they're doing when they're collecting Pokemon cards. When in reality, they're just trying to collect these cards and do so in a financially sustainable way. I go more in depth with this in an article I wrote on E4. I've linked that in the video description. It's called Financially Smart Collecting versus Investing in Pokemon. But here are the highlights. So I know many people, including myself, at times will justify collecting of Pokemon cards in terms of investment and possible returns on the money they spend. So sometimes people won't understand why you're spending hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars on what can really only be described as trading cards based off of a children's video game. However, when you can justify that interest in terms of monetary gains, it becomes a lot simpler and understandable for the people who are not initiated into our wonderful hobby. So, additionally, a lot of people enjoy buying cards, but they want to be able to sell those cards if anything untoward were to happen and they needed that money. In that case, it's important to do things like pay attention to market prices, make informed buying decisions, and also to stay focused on your collection goals and not buy things that are completely out of the realm of what you're looking to collect. So this is what I term financially smart collecting. Now, in financially smart collecting, your goal is to collect the cards that interest you the most, while maximizing the potential value of your collection if you did have to sell it if something went wrong. So this is important to any collector, and unless you've got really functionally unlimited amounts of money, it's something that we all should be at least focused on in our collecting. We all want to spend money in the right way. So paying attention to the market, focusing on your collection goals, and maximizing the potential resale value of your collection. Now that's not a joke, that's not what I'm saying here, and this is in fact essential. However, this is fundamentally different from investing. The goal of investing, pure and simple, is to make the most money possible. It's not to collect your favorite cards, or to create a unique and personally fulfilling card collection. So my good friend Charlie once remarked on E4 that when you are investing in Pokemon, you can't look at any one item and ask if it's a good investment. You have to look at the entire market, the entire hobby, and ask if that item is the best possible investment. So, for example, while you may have an interest and a personal attachment to something like, let's just say PSA 10 WotC Hollows, if you were investing in Pokemon, a better decision would likely be to put that money into something like trophy cards, or maybe even sealed product. However, which trophy card you buy, or which sealed product you go after, that would be another investment decision that you would have to make and would be based on a significant amount of knowledge. So actual investment requires an in-depth knowledge of the hobby, including stuff like card production, distribution numbers, various markets, and previous market trends as well. This knowledge needs to be so widespread and in-depth that I can probably count on my hands the number of people who I know could do this kind of investment correctly. Additionally, investment requires a significantly large sum of money to do correctly, not to mention time. So currently the only cards, and I mean this 100% seriously, the only cards that have been steadily rising in price have been limited distribution, competition awarded trophy cards. So these include things like the Pikachu Illustrator. You've got your SSB and TMB trophies, Worlds trophies, the Full Art Pikas, University Magikarp, Trophy Kangaskhan, etc., etc. Set-based cards, the ones that we open out of packs, while they have seen sporadic rises, have not seen consistent growth, and this is just a market fact. So, for example, here's the public sale chart for PSA 10 First Edition Charizard. This is the most iconic card in the hobby. After a meteoric rise, it went from $10,000 to $40,000 over a year and a half. This holy grail, most important card in the hobby, has remained broadly steady for 2 years. If you invested $40,000 into what could arguably be described as the most popular Pokemon card ever printed 2 years ago, you've made no money today. In fact, you've probably lost some money after inflation and seller fees and all of that stuff. If, however, you invested your money in trophy cards, your money would have at least doubled. Now, this is not to say that first edition base Charizard is not a good investment, or it won't be a good investment in the future, but it most certainly was not the best investment over the last 2 years. This sporadic rise pattern is borne out with other set cards as well. So for example, here's PSA 10 Fire Red Leaf Green Charizard. This card has fluctuated up and down from about $450 to $700 for the past 3 years, while just over the past couple months it's risen to above $1,000. And that $1,000 and above rise is not yet indicated on the price graph, but you can just see sold listings which show that. Now for a more stark example, you can look at the recent rise in prices for PSA 9 Neo Genesis Typhlosion number 17 First Edition. This card went from around $500 to $600 to near $2,000 in just a matter of weeks. As investment products, set cards have sporadic returns, and these returns are often hard to anticipate, and prices may go up and down significantly over a short period of time. Set cards are objectively subpar investments. So in order to access the much better investment standard items like trophy cards, you need extensive capital, and this is out of reach of the average collector. For example, just look at the recent sale of the Pikachu number 2 trophy for $84,000. So when people discuss investing in highly graded set cards, this talk is just out of step with the realities of the Pokemon market. But for the final part of this discussion, I'd like to make what may seem like a counterintuitive statement. The best way to invest in Pokemon and to guarantee returns on your collection, or I shouldn't say guarantee, but it's to collect. If you look at the people who have been successful at making money in Pokemon, you look at Gary, you look at Scott, you look at Charlie, and a ton of other people. They've done so by collecting and not caring about the monetary returns. Gary wasn't buying and grading first edition base holos back in the 2000s because he thought they'd be worth thousands per card in 2020. Scott wasn't buying Japanese trophies in 2008 because he thought the Illustrator would be a $100,000 card. You know, these guys, they're smart as hell, but they aren't that smart. They made those initial purchases because they were genuinely interested in the cards, and they love them. You know, furthermore, it wouldn't matter if Gary graded a bunch of base holos in the early 2000s if he sold them all in 2012. You know, Scott wouldn't be where he is now if he cashed out on trophies as soon as they doubled in price. So this genuine attachment, which is present in collecting but not in investment, this is what allows collectors to look at record price after record price and say, no, I don't want that. I don't want the money. I want the card more than I want the money. So ironically, money was made by refusing to sell. If you're truly looking for a return on your collection, the best way to ride out the sporadic returns of set cards and to avoid those crazy jumps and valleys and the weak increases where they go from 500 to 2,000, the best way to do that is to have a genuine attachment to your collection. The only way you're going to cultivate that genuine attachment is by buying what you like. If you are constantly looking at the market, you've purchased a card because you think it's a good investment, and you're always thinking about when to sell that card, you're not going to be able to do what Scott and Gary and others have done and look at those record prices and say, nope, don't want to sell. Nope, don't want to sell. I want the card more than I want the money. So the answer to all of the investment discussions and investment advice, it's very simple. Buy what you like, collect what interests you, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to ride out all of the craziness and make a return at the end. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe and stick around for more videos.